What's up, everybody? I hope everybody is well. Um, Back at home, I had some stuff I had to do for lawyers, so I had to cut my vacation short. So, yeah, not happy about that. Also, I got a new phone thingy, bobber holder, and it's not really working out too well. I can't really turn it to the sides and all that. I don't like this vertical view, so particularly for car videos. So, so anyway, I want to have a conversation. It's gonna be kind of hard because I'm not gonna go back and forth on it. But I'm gonna put up some screenshots, and you can go over to the video and read in the comment section where this young lady and I are going back and forth in a good and respectful way. We're trying to really understand each other. So I made a comment on one of the videos. I think it was the video about y'all are boring. I think that was the video that we were going back and forth about. And my comment about something about I think it was like the end of the video saying something along the lines of, not dating someone after the third or fourth date. I think that was the video. It's hard to remember. I remember the conversation, but the texting conversation we were having, or what's written in the comment section, I should say, because and I stand by that. At the third or fourth date, I'm not going to date somebody because they might be dating someone else or whatever. So that's just my own personal philosophy. That's my own personal philosophy. So I and she questioned about that. Is it okay for a woman to have those same standards or philosophies? Can she say to you, whatever, it's whatever, that you're not gonna, I don't want you dating anyone else. And then I said, well, it's going to be different for a guy because he's paying. That was an unsatisfactory answer. So she wanted me to expound upon it, so I did. So I think that it's different for a guy. Now, first, let me just say, listen, you got to have your own standard. If you after the third date, you really want to see a guy, you don't want to make sure that he's not seeing anybody else. You have every single right to ask him that question. There's no doubt about it. But I think that there's a problem with the mate selection understanding about how men and women select dates or select mates, and I think that there is this desire to be like men. I don't have much battery life left. There's this desire to be like men. I think for a long time women have looked at men and said they are the epitome of human existence. They can have sex, they can go about their business, they can go out in the woods, they can fight with animals, they're building stuff, they go on vacation, they don't have anything to worry about. Nobody's trying to en masse hurt them. They're not hindered by the need of protection, particularly when they're pregnant, right? And so they looked at men and their existence and said, "Man, that's the way to be. I want to be like that." And so, hot in here. So this that men have become the standard. I can say a lot more about that, but we'll just keep pushing. So the question is, why is it that men are able to, if after the third date, to me, pose the question to me, if after the third date, why is it that the man could say, I don't want to date you anymore if you're dating other people? Why don't you just, well, let's just, all of us just see each other people, or can a woman do the same thing? And if the woman says, I don't want you dating anyone else, well, why would that be a problem, essentially, is what I understood the question to be. Again, men are going to select differently now. Now, I think that one of the problems, I'm going to try to address a lot of things here, and I'm going off the top of my head. I didn't take any notes, so just bear with me. People say I ramble. I'm going on these different rabbit holes and all that. So, men are going to date. We don't want our time and our resources going in other places, right? Or going to nowhere. So, women are very protective, or should be very protective of their sexuality, of their sex, not of their sexuality, but of their sex and who they give their body to. And this is an evolution. I'm very much while I never really studied formally in college evolutionary psychology, I do try to read some papers here and there, because it fascinates me. Like, how do we get to this place and this point? Women had to always be very selective. I'm sure you've heard me say this before. Women have always had to be very selective when they're dating and mating because again, you're vulnerable. You can be attacked by predators, attacked by rival bands. You can fall down, right? You can't really go out into the berries, particularly later stages in pregnancy and all that. You can't really. You need this protection of a guy or the tribe. So guys don't have that same limitations. So the reason on that I say on the third date that I want to make sure that my resources aren't going anywhere else is because I am not going to be supplementing somebody else, right? There was a saying that I heard recently. I'm not going to fatten up the toad for another snake to eat, right? Or fatten up the frog or whatever for another snake to eat. So now, because of modernity, women are more free to move about and to be and to live this quote unquote man like experience where you can have sex with no repercussions. We've got most diseases can be cured. Sexually transmitted diseases can be cured, and you don't have the risk of pregnancies anymore. If you certainly can delete them. I'm not saying whether you should or not. I'm just saying this is an option. Um, you know, uh, um, and you can prevent them with different pills and whatever, all these different methods of birth control. So now it's freed women up for the first time. And now you want to move like men, and then it becomes confusing when the men aren't reciprocating like that. Like, okay, if you can date other people, how come I can't date other people? And listen, again, I'm saying you got to choose you and do what's best for you. And if we're dating, we get to know each other. Then I hear women say, well, what's the problem with that? Well, again, the problem is, again, from a evolutionary psychology perspective, that women have always been protective of sex. So I would maintain that even if you're acting like that and even if you're dating, you're not sleeping with them, maybe that there's still this thing you have to talk your mind into doing. Now, you want to make sure that you're getting the best mate, and you're going to look around and see if you get the best mate. But a man's perspective is, from an evolutionary psychology perspective, and I'm admitting that I have a lot of work to do in this area, is that you have to understand that just like sex is to men, sex is to women, men have to be very protective of their resources. And I'm not going to give my resources to I'm not just going to go spread my resources around. Women weren't just going to go around spreading their royal oats that they try to think that they have. You can't just go around sleeping with everyone because you have to be protective because you don't want to get pregnant by the wrong person, because that person might not be able to protect for you and provide for you, or you might be a lunatic or something like that, right? So men have to be just protective. I'm not just going to go around just giving my seed to everybody, right? I got to be very protective. I got to be very protective about who's getting my resources. And even if the children that are born or belong to the clan, to the tribe, I should, to the tribe, to the clan, whatever, still not, we got to be very protective of our resources, because I had to go out there and hunt. I had to go out there and fight this woolly mammoth. I had to go out there and fight the saber-tooth tiger in order to get these resources, and I want to make sure that these resources are used to the best of its abilities. All right. So you can, and I think you should, as a woman, ask if this guy's seeing anybody else. I don't have a problem with that. So then the conversation then goes into 10% of men, and as I record this right now, we're still kind of going back and forth, but I thought it was important for us to talk about this. So what I interpreted her as saying is the 10% of men. I thought she was talking about the 10% of men who are the top tier men, right? These top tier men, whatever's considered top tier, these high value men, whatever you want to call them, these 10% of men. So I went down this long dissertation about those men are always going to be in selection. They're the top of the top breed. And every woman on the planet is or at least in their vicinity, and the vicinity is expanded now because of social media and technology. Again, it's pluses and minuses to all this stuff, right? Positives and negatives. And so these top 10% of guys are getting flooded with their DMs are getting flooded. They can walk into a store, they can walk into a park, everywhere these women are looking at them and this, that, and the other. Women are throwing it at them, so they're going to take it. So the question is, why should they settle down with one man, right? Well, I mean, if you're a man, we all acknowledge that men want sex. and you're throwing it at him, he's going to take it, right? You don't have to marry him, right? Or he doesn't have to marry you, right? So this becomes a problem of modernity. This is the modernity problem, that men who are highly selected, highly looked at, are going to be in demand. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do as a woman to try to counteract that? Because it seems as if the young woman that we're having a conversation, really wants a nice guy, and who's going to be, yeah, okay, he's maybe top 10%, but yet he's going to be faithful and loyal, and I don't want him out here dating other people either, right? So then, as we're talking about this, we're having a conversation. She then the last message she sent me was, I wasn't talking about the top tier men. She's talking about just, she can, these guys out here just don't want to spend money, right? Even if you have money, whether you have money or you don't have money, whatever that means to you, they don't want to take you out. They just want to go chill at the park or go for a walk or something like that, or coffee or ice cream. And these ladies, sometimes they want more than that. Okay, and my last response is, okay. Well, why is that? Why is it that men are refusing to spend money? Whether it's a top tier guy, I'm sure there's those top tier guys. If you're making $250,000 a year, taking you on a nice steak date, it's not going to be an issue. But why is it that I would assume more average wage earning men are so reluctant to take you out on dates and this, that, and the other? And I think that the simple answer to that is, they're sick of getting burned. In all honesty, modern women are, again, dating multiple men. And to my original point in my original post is, I'm not taking you out on dates. I'm not going to take you out on dates, and you're seeing other dudes, and you got a friend with benefits. I'm not going to do that, and I don't think any man should do that. That's just me. That's just me. And um and so, this becomes a question, like, what's wrong with that? Why can't we date other people? You can date who you want. But I'm telling you, as a man, I think I'm pretty masculine. I'm not dealing with that. I'm not dealing with this competition type of thing. I'm not dealing with any of that type of stuff. Because competition to men eventually can lead to violence. I don't know if that's really understood by the ladies a lot of time. Is that can really lead to violence. In two ways. First is I think that men ought to be looked up to in relationships. And if a man is willingly and knowingly paying for dates, or somehow being, I just think it's emasculating to know that your woman is, or a woman that you're interested in, and you're providing resources to, because when you're taking her on dates and giving her food, you're providing resources. It's certainly not a car or a home or whatever, but you're providing for her some way, and this is the purpose for a date, to show that you have the means to support and provide for her. So you're showing her that and giving her something, right? So when men are in this situation where they are showing this type of provision, demonstrating their level of provision that they're able to provide, if you're doing that and she's seeing other people, then that puts her in a position of superiority. At least in my frame of thinking, I would assume almost every man is going to agree with that. So how do you maintain frame and you're being cucked out? I mean, how do you maintain frame and buying somebody dinner, or buying somebody a watch, or taking her to the movies, or and knowing that somebody else is doesn't have to put in this work and effort and getting the things that you want for free. And I don't know why women don't understand this. I had a video about this, about holding the line, about stop simping. I don't understand how women don't understand this. It's completely repulsive. It's completely repulsive to men. So this is where we're at. So this is the modern day dilemma. Another thing that I talked about in the modern day dilemma is women are now more educated they're making more money. In their 20s, women are making more money, and that starts to flip flop in the 30s. Men start making more, probably because women, I think, because they start to burn out, change careers. A lot of them start having babies, so they have to pause your career. So whatever reasons, um, the numbers start to flip flop, and men start making more. So if you're making more money, you're not in comparison to the past, got more education. What is it that why is it that you need a man who's making six figures, or a man who is tall, or a man with resources? Why do you need these things? Because you have them yourself. And the tall is the protection aspect of it. Because what? You have the police, you can buy a dog, buy a car, buy a firearm. You have other means of protecting yourself, an alarm system, dog. So that my point in bringing that up is that this is a fight with biology. Modern day women are fighting with their own biology, their own biological instincts to have children, putting them off for such a long period of time. So again, my point in bringing that up was to say, why not expand your options to go to include not just the 10% guys, but the guys from 25, the top 25% instead of the higher 10%, because you might get a guy who's more willing to be faithful and to be committed and to be more resourceful, and maybe has just a little bit less resources. But if you expand your options, or maybe he's not as handsome, or maybe he's not as tall, or whatever classifies a guy as being the top 10% of men, whatever puts him in that category, why don't you expand your options to say, okay, I'll take the top 20% guy. So I thought it was a good conversation. It was very respectful. I appreciate the conversation. So I hope I didn't go down too many rabbit holes. Let me try to sum this up. I think that modern day women are fighting with their own biological impulses and urges. You want 10% guys, and everybody's chasing those 10% guys, and you want that 10% guy to be faithful and loyal. But why should he be faithful and loyal when he's got women all over the place? Every time he goes into a store or wherever he's going, women are giving him the eye, giving him his number, slipping in his DMs, saying this, that, and the other. And why would he not take you up on that? I think that modern day times, as far as the technology concerning birth control has loosened the reins, if you will, and opened up the floodgates for women, but they're not getting a lot of times the responses and the reactions that they are desiring. Here's another thing too. I constantly, and I'm running into, and I'm seeing a lot of different disciplines. Being a nerdy guy like myself, right? I watch a lot of. I watch a lot of. I don't just watch relationship content. I watch a lot of educational content from other PhDs, and so there's PhDs from different disciplines, from marketing, from psychology. There was one as I listened to one childhood psychologist. All of these people are all in agreement with, no matter what discipline you are, and a lot of this research is taken, because a lot of people are trying to look at what's going on in the future. Now, marketing people want to know what's going on in the future, because they want to, obviously market their businesses or somebody else's business. So they're all taking a look at this research about what's going on in as far as the mating and dating game, because that's going to play into the roles that the stock market goes, and how family formations, and how the housing market is going to go in 20 years, and they take a look at this stuff. This is why it's so interesting. This is how I got into it, right? I'm a criminal justice dude, right? I worry about cops and robbers, and I teach forensic psychology, right? A lot of people commit crime, how to keep them out of prison and stuff, right? And all of these different disciplines comes back to the family, right? Comes back to the family and family formation and strong family units. And if we're not binding together, right, the housing market's eventually going to tank, and nobody's going to sign up for the military, and our jails be full, and we have a bunch of people in the mental institutions. So all these different disciplines are looking at this and saying, and trying to figure this out. And so one of the things that we're all coming back to is this mating and dating problem that we're having, and that as women have bossed up, they don't want to date. They don't want to date. They don't want to mate, in particular, date down. And so what does that do to the market? And so they're pricing themselves out of this market. So a big issue that we're discovering is that the women who are out here the women who are out here doing what they're doing, sleeping around in particular, is causing two real problems. Number one, in their own psychology, right? A lot of women are waking up later on in life saying, "I wish I would not have done this." I've seen a lot of women who are saying that they wish they would have not have done that. Okay, and I've read this from CEOs that said, they're all at a at a function, and the guys are all doing what they're doing, being guys, and they go all off, and they find a young pretty thing and do their thing with this girl, and a woman who's trying to rub elbows with these dudes. She wants to go. She finds a young guy who's goes does the same thing, and she feels like trash the next day, or particularly years later. Right? Why did I do this to myself? Why was I trying to do this to myself? I've heard a lot of women saying that. Okay, so that's one problem. And the second problem, again, this is fighting with your biological imperatives, right? Fighting with your biological. You want to live like guys, but you won't. But your biology is telling you not to do it. And the second problem, that is a major problem, is that when these women uh, do this type of thing, right? Particularly if they start sleeping up, right? So you're a 5 or 6 or 7, and you sleep with a guy who's an 8, 9, or 10. You think that you now think that this is your league for the rest of your life. And there's a lot. Every discipline that I mentioned before is acknowledging that this is a problem, because now these women think that they are it, right? So if you name your celebrity crush with his abs and all this stuff, right? He comes in and he says, "I want you for the night or for the weekend or for the month." Now you think that you deserve that type of guy for the rest of your life, and you don't. And you don't. And you don't. And I think a lot of times ladies start to figure that out, because uh, at least 2 times that I can remember, I was hit on by ladies who then having a phone conversation with them, um, like they had dated NFL players. I don't have anywhere near NFL player money, and I'm not NFL height. I mean, I could probably make a small safety or something like that, a running back. Man, I could probably make running back. But but so now you think this is your level. So I'm saying a lot. Maybe some ladies can come down off of that and say, maybe I don't need this height. Maybe I don't need this money anymore. Okay, whatever. But there's an acknowledgement that a lot of ladies still think that they, particularly if they're younger, still think that they can do this thing, right? And that they are it, that they are the bee's knees, right? That they are the best thing since sliced bread. And if I had Brad Pitt once, I can get Brad Pitt version 2 or Chris Hemsworth version 2 or whatever, right? Right? Or Shamar Moore or whoever you named the hot chocolate dude. I don't know who they are. So anyway, so that's just I just want to rant a little bit about the modern day dating problem, right? So to sum it up again, the modern day dating problem is, you can't date like men. Top 10% of guys are always going to have, their access. If there's a lesser amount of men in the dating pool who are willing to spend money, it's because they've been burned, it's because they've been used, it's because they don't want to see their resources go out the window. So and a lot of women wake up one day with regret. People don't like to hear this. This is the buy a dog, die alone type of talk. I know I know it's unpopular, but this is what you're trying to tell people, is like, these things have consequences, and your actions have consequences. So when you're out there doing whatever you're doing, and you wake up one day and realize, man, this wasn't it. This was not it. This was not it. So let me just, I thought it was a good conversation that we had, trying to elaborate on what the deal is. And yeah, I'm standing by it. Listen, if I'm no, if, and here's the thing that I was saying about the 3 date thing. If I am, we've seen each other three dates, and in the meantime we've talked on the phone, we've had video chats, right? I am at this point showing you some interest. And I want to know that you're interested in me. And I'm not going to spend my resources knowing that you're sleeping with somebody else, or that you're going to go out with somebody else. You have every right to do it as a human being, as a grown adult. You have every right to do it. I just choose not to participate. I don't know if I finished. I went on so many different rants here. It comes down to violence. because I don't want to get into a fight with another dude, and I'm not going to put you in a position where you think you have power over me. I'm not gonna. I think it's emasculating for a man to know that the woman that he is showing interest to, that he's talking to on the phone, and he is expressing interest into you. Listen, I know. I now at this 3 date stage, you might have been seeing other people. I'm not stupid, right? You've been seeing other people, talking to other people on the phone, texting other people. Okay, okay. Now I want to take you on another date. Fourth date, let's just say. I go back and forth between 3 and 4 dates, depending on how much we talked and how interested in it. Now I'm at this point where I'm going to invest. Now I'm investing because I'm going to take my time and I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you what we could be. Now you don't have to be my girlfriend. We don't have to exchange titles. But I just need to know where am I? Where is your head at? Because I want to know: are you just as invested in me? Are you looking at me the same way? Are you thinking about me in the same way that I'm thinking about you? And if not, then we need to go separate ways. And if you're like, you're still kind of on the fence, I don't really know. I got this date with this other dude tonight. We'll see how it goes. Absolutely. You have every right to do that. Okay, cool. I'm backing up though. I'm backing up because I'm not going to continue to call somebody and show interest. And I got to be in, I'm not going to do that because I don't, because again, to me, it was, and I had to really think about this. Like, why don't I like it so much? It's going to result to violence because not that I'm a violent person, but I'm not going to be confrontational with somebody. Be like, okay, well, why are you still talking to this dude? We're out, or I just avoid that type of nonsense. And I'm not going to have you. And I want to maintain frame, and I'm going to maintain frame, and I'm going to make sure that I exude masculinity. And I really believe that the woman ought to look up to the man and be like, this is the best version. This is the best thing I can get. This is the way I think. You are the best thing that I can get. Now, I recognize I'm not the best thing you can get. there's always going to be somebody finer, always going to have to be somebody with more money, always be somebody who's got more game. But I want you to be happy inside. And if I'm not doing it, you still need to go out there and look. You go out there and look, unencumbered, no guilt. Cool, cool. But if you have had conversations with me, you've been out with me a few times, and you think that I'm a really good catch, then put some effort into me. And after 2 months, you figure out it's not it. Okay, no harm, no foul. But at least I need to know. And as a woman, you have every right to say the same thing. You have every right to say the same thing, particularly. And I think you should probably be more. I think you should be more strategic, more uh, strict when it comes to that, because if you give yourself to a man, if you start having sex with this dude, your head's gonna get all messed up. You're gonna recognize he's sleeping with other people, and it's just gonna be a mess. You should be asking that question even more. Okay, who else, right? Who else are you swapping spit with or whatever? You have every right to ask that. I've been asked that. Yeah, right. Because you have every right to know. You have every right to know, and you need to hold to that. One of the biggest reasons that we're in this mess, that they're in this dating mess, is because of what I mentioned before about the brakes being taken off from women. And so now you don't demand sex anymore. So why should the guy demand sex? Excuse me. If you're not demanding marriage anymore, then why should the man offer marriage? If you're not demanding marriage, why should he offer it? If you're offering up the cookie, he's gonna take it. He's gonna take what you're offering. And if you're not offering marriage, why should he offer it? Why should he put that out there? Why should it even be on the table? If you're a top 10% guy, top 20, top 50% guy, right? Top 50. If you're one of the top 50% guys, why go through all this? Just take the cookie. Just take it. All right. I made this long enough. Let me know your thoughts and opinion. Am I right? Am I wrong? I tried to elaborate as best as I could and try to give a consensus as to what's going on in the modern day dating market, right? The brakes have been taken off of women. They want to move like men. Um, they get confused when they're not getting results, confused. And I'm not saying the young lady who I was texting, who we were having a conversation with, confused, but I'm trying to elaborate on what was going on here and what's going on in the modern day dating market. So, all right. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. Hit me in the comments. Join the membership. Members live videos. I want to start doing members lives only. And then this video is only for members as well. So, and hit me on the email if you have something you want me to talk about. Much love and peace.